The great hall of the Galactic Council was silent. 12 species sat in their floating chairs, arranged in a perfect circle around a hologram of a small blue planet, Earth, home to 8 billion humans, a world that had only discovered faster than light travel 20 years ago, a world that had refused to kneel. Councillor Dreth of the Voran Empire stood up. His gray skin stretched tight over his skull as he smiled. His 4 eyes scanned the other representatives. He could see fear in some of them, curiosity in others, but most importantly, he could see agreement. "The humans are dangerous," Dreth said. His voice was calm, almost bored. "They breed fast. They think fast. They fight fast. In 200 years, they will challenge us all. I say we end the threat now, while they are still weak." A representative from the Kilari Federation raised a thin, blue hand. "They have done nothing wrong. They simply refuse to give up their weapons." "Exactly," Dreth replied. "Every other species surrendered their military power when they joined the galactic community. The humans refused. They looked at us, at our combined might of 12 civilizations, and they said no." He paused. "That alone tells you everything you need to know about them." The vote was quick, 11-1. The Kilari were the only ones who voted against. But their single vote meant nothing. Dreth pressed a button on his chair. "Admiral Voss, you have authorization. Begin the cleansing." 8,000 light-years away, Admiral Tejo stood on the bridge of the carrier Indomitable. He was a tall man with short gray hair and tired eyes. He had served in Earth's space fleet for 30 years. He had seen wars. He had seen death. But he had never seen anything like the shadow that now fell across his sensors. "Sir," his tactical officer said, her voice shaking. "We are detecting 400 Voran warships. They just appeared from hyperspace. They are taking positions around the planet." Tejo closed his eyes. He had warned them. He had told the politicians that the council could not be trusted. But they had not listened. They had believed in diplomacy, in peace. "All ships," Tejo said into his communicator. "Engage the enemy. Protect Earth at all costs." His fleet was 42 ships. 42 against 400. Tejo knew they would lose. But he also knew that every second they fought was another second for people on Earth to reach the bunkers. The battle lasted 6 hours. Tejo watched his ships die one by one. The Valiant, the Starbreaker, the Soul's Pride. Good ships, good crews. All gone. When only 3 ships remained, Tejo ordered them to retreat. "We cannot leave," Captain Hana said. She was young, barely 30, with fierce eyes and a scar across her chin. "Our families are down there. If we stay, we die for nothing." Tejo replied. "If we leave, we live to fight another day. That is not running away. That is survival." Hana wanted to argue, but she looked at her admiral's face and saw something that stopped her. It was not fear. It was not sadness. It was rage. Cold, patient, terrible rage. The 3 ships vanished into hyperspace just as the Voran fleet began its bombardment. On Earth, Dr. Yuna was running. She was a small woman with round glasses and hair that was always messy. She was the lead scientist at the Sol Research Bunker, one of the deepest underground facilities on the planet. She had been working on alien technology recovered from a crashed Voran probe. Now, none of that mattered. Now, she just needed to get inside before the fire came. The sky turned white. Yuna threw herself through the bunker door just as the shockwave hit. The ground shook. The lights flickered. Somewhere above her, the city of Sol ceased to exist. For 3 days, the bombardment continued. The Vorans were thorough. They targeted every major city, every military base, every factory, every power plant. They turned forests into deserts and oceans into steam. When they were finished, they scanned the surface for life signs. They found almost none. General Minho was deep underground when the attack began. He was in a military command center beneath the mountains, designed to survive nuclear war. The designers had never imagined anything like this. Minho watched the reports come in. Beijing, gone. New York, gone. London, Paris, Tokyo, Mumbai, gone, gone, gone. 3 billion dead in the first hour, another 2 billion in the next day. By the time the bombardment stopped, only 800 million humans remained, scattered across underground bunkers and deep caves. Minho was an old soldier. He had fought in 3 wars. He had seen friends die in his arms, but nothing had prepared him for this. He sat in his chair and stared at the screen showing Earth's surface. It was brown now, brown and gray, and dead. A young officer approached him. "Sir, we have received a transmission from the Galactic Council. They are declaring victory. They say Earth has been cleansed." Minho said nothing for a long moment. Then he stood up. His old bones cracked. His hands trembled. But his voice was steady. "Send a message to all surviving bunkers. Tell them to stay hidden. Tell them to stay silent. Tell them we are not defeated." He paused. "Tell them we are waiting." In the Great Hall of the Galactic Council, celebrations were beginning. Dreth accepted congratulations from his fellow counselors. The human threat was over. The galaxy was safe, but one counselor did not celebrate. Representative Sora of the Kelari sat alone, staring at the hologram of the burning Earth. She was the only one who had voted against the attack. She was the only one who understood what they had done. "You fools," she whispered. "You absolute fools. You did not kill them. You only made them angry." No one heard her. No one cared. Earth was dead. Humanity was finished. That was all that mattered. Deep beneath the scorched surface, in a bunker lit by emergency lights, Dr. Yuna picked up a piece of alien technology. It was a small device, no bigger than her hand. But she knew what it was. It was a hyperspace engine, miniaturized to impossible levels. Technology that could change everything. She looked at the other survivors around her. Scientists, engineers, soldiers, civilians. All of them had lost someone. All of them had that same look in their eyes. The look of people who had nothing left to lose. "We will rebuild," Yuna said quietly. "We will learn their technology. We will build ships." And then, she did not finish the sentence. She did not need to. Everyone in that bunker already knew what came next. Above them, the Voran fleet departed. They did not bother to leave guards. Why would they? Earth was a grave now. Nothing could survive there. They were wrong. 5 years passed. The galaxy forgot about Earth. It became a story that parents told their children. A warning about what happens to species that challenge the Council. The humans had been proud and foolish, and now they were gone. That was the lesson. That was the truth. Except it was not true. Admiral Tejo stood in the command center of his new flagship, the Requiem. It was not a beautiful ship. It was ugly, patched together from stolen parts and salvaged metal. But it worked, and it was invisible to every sensor in the known galaxy. "Status report," Tejo said. Captain Hana stepped forward. She looked different now. Harder. The scar on her chin had been joined by new ones. Her eyes had lost their youth. 5 years of hiding in the asteroid belt had changed her. "We have 312 ships ready for combat," she said. "Another 50 will be complete within the month. All equipped with ghost drives." Tejo nodded. The ghost drives were Dr. Yuna's greatest achievement. They allowed ships to travel faster than light without leaving any trace. No energy signature. No hyperspace wake. Nothing. A human fleet could appear anywhere in the galaxy, and no one would see them coming. Deep underground on Earth, Dr. Yuna was working on something new. The bunkers had grown in 5 years. They were cities now, connected by tunnels that stretched across continents. 800 million survivors had become builders, engineers, soldiers. Every single one of them had lost someone in the bombardment. Every single one of them remembered. "Project Sunfire is ready for testing," Yuna told General Minho. She pushed her glasses up her nose. She looked tired. She had not slept properly in months. Minho studied the hologram in front of him. It showed a small device, about the size of a football. "Explain it to me again." "In simple words, it destabilizes stars," Yuna said. "You fire it into a sun, and the sun begins to die. It takes about 3 days. Then the sun explodes. Everything in that solar system is destroyed." Minho was silent for a long moment. You built a weapon that can kill stars. Yes. How many of these do we have? 12. For now. I can make more. Minho looked at the small scientist. She had been a quiet woman once, interested only in research and discovery. Now she built weapons that could end worlds. War did that to people. Loss did that to people. Keep building, he said. We will need them. Far away, in a hidden base on a frozen moon, a young pilot named Jisoo was practicing in a simulator. He was 23 years old. He had been 18 when the bombardment happened. He remembered everything. The white sky, the shaking ground, the screams of his family as their house collapsed around them. He had dug through the rubble for 2 days before rescue teams found him. He was the only survivor. Now he flew. He flew faster and better than anyone else in the human fleet. His trainers said he had a gift. Jisoo knew the truth. It was not a gift. It was rage, channeled into precision. Every time he flew a simulation, he imagined Voran ships in his crosshairs. Every time he fired, he saw Counselor Dreth's face. You are going to burn yourself out, Captain Hannah told him one day. She had come to inspect the training facility. Revenge is a fire. If you let it control you, it will consume you. Jisoo looked at her with empty eyes. I have nothing left to burn, Captain. The fire took everything already. Hannah had no answer to that. She understood. They all understood. On the other side of the galaxy, a woman named Nari was sitting in a restaurant on the Voran homeworld. She looked like a Voran now. Surgery had changed her face, her skin, even her eyes. She had lived among them for 3 years. She had learned their language, their customs, their secrets. She had become one of them, but she was not one of them. She was a ghost, a human ghost, haunting the species that had murdered her world. Nari took a sip of her drink and looked at the datapad in her hand. It contained the location of every Voran military base, every shipyard, every supply depot. 3 years of work, condensed into a single file. Tonight, she would transmit it to Admiral Tejo. Tomorrow, she would disappear. The bartender approached her. Another drink, friend? Nari smiled. It was a Voran smile. All teeth, and no warmth. No, thank you. I have somewhere to be. She paid her bill and walked out into the night. The Voran capital was beautiful, she had to admit. Tall spires of crystal, floating gardens, streets lit by bioluminescent plants. It was a paradise built on the bones of conquered species. Nari wondered if it would still be beautiful when it burned. Back on Earth, General Minho stood before a crowd of soldiers. They were gathered in a massive underground cavern. Thousands of men and women in uniform. They were the first generation of the new Earth military. Some were survivors of the bombardment. Others were children who had grown up in the bunkers, raised on stories of the old world and the species that destroyed it. 5 years ago they tried to kill us, Minho said. His voice echoed through the cavern. They burned our cities. They murdered our families. They danced on our ashes and called it justice. The crowd was silent, thousands of eyes fixed on their general. They thought we would die. They thought we would give up. They were wrong. Minho paused. We did not die. We changed. We became something harder, something darker, something they will never understand. He raised his fist. They wanted extinction. We will give them extinction, not of their bodies, but of their pride, their security, their belief that they are safe. The crowd erupted, not in cheers, but in something deeper, a low sound, like thunder, a promise. When we strike, we will not announce ourselves. We will come like ghosts in the night. We will take their ships. We will destroy their supplies. We will kill their leaders in their beds, and when they finally realize what is happening, it will be too late. Minho lowered his fist. His voice became quiet, but somehow it carried to every corner of the cavern. They forgot about us. They will learn that forgetting was their greatest mistake. In the asteroid belt, Admiral Tejo received Nari's transmission. He studied the data for a long time. Every Voran base, every weak point, every target. He called Captain Hana to his quarters. We begin in 1 month, he said. The Shadow War starts. No announcements, no declarations. We simply start killing them, one by one, until they realize we are not dead. Hana nodded. And when they realize, Teho smiled. It was not a pleasant smile. Then, we kill them faster. Outside the porthole, Earth hung in the darkness. Brown and scarred, but still there. Still waiting. Still remembering. The galaxy had forgotten about humanity. Humanity had not forgotten anything. The first colony to go silent was Voran Prime 7. It was a mining world on the edge of the Empire, home to 30,000 workers. One day, their communication signal simply stopped. The Voran authorities assumed it was a technical problem. They sent a repair ship. The repair ship found nothing. No miners, no equipment, no bodies, just empty buildings and a single word carved into the central plaza. Letters 50 meters tall. Remember, the Voran authorities were confused, but not worried. Strange things happened on frontier worlds. They sent colonists to replace the missing workers and moved on. Then Voran Prime 12 went silent. And Prime 19. And the agricultural world of Keth. And the shipyard at Nexus Station. In 30 days, 14 Voran colonies disappeared. Supply ships vanished without sending distress signals. Patrol fleets went out and never came back. And always, that same word left behind, remember. Admiral Teho watched the reports from his command chair aboard the Requiem. His fleet moved through Voran space like ghosts. Never staying in one place long enough to be detected, they struck at night, using weapons that left no trace. They killed quickly and quietly, then vanished before anyone could respond. Target 15 is clear, Captain Hana reported. Her face was lit by the blue glow of her console. No survivors. The word has been carved as instructed. Good, Teho said. Move to target 16. Same protocol. Hana hesitated. Sir, some of the crew are asking questions. They want to know why we leave the message. Why we do not simply destroy and move on. Teho turned to face her. His eyes were cold. Fear is a weapon, Captain. We are not just killing them. We are terrifying them. Every time they see that word, they will wonder who wrote it. Every time a colony goes dark, they will lie awake at night. Afraid. That fear will spread. It will grow. And when we finally reveal ourselves, that fear will break them. Hana nodded slowly. She understood. On the Voran homeworld, Counselor Dreth was beginning to feel something he had not felt in decades. Worry. 14 colonies gone. Dozens of ships missing. And no one could explain why. Pirates, his advisors told him. Rebels. Technical failures. Nothing to worry about. But Dreth did worry. Because something about the pattern felt wrong. Familiar. Like a half-remembered nightmare. He ordered extra patrols. He increased security at shipyards. He did everything a sensible leader should do. But deep in his heart, a small voice whispered a terrible thought. What if they survived? He pushed the thought away. It was impossible. No one could survive what they had done to Earth. No one. Far from the Voran homeworld, in a space station orbiting a gas giant, 3 Voran admirals were meeting in secret. They were worried about the disappearances. They were worried about their careers. They did not notice the woman who served them drinks. They did not notice her slip a small device under their table. They did not notice anything at all, until they stopped breathing. Nari watched them die through a hidden camera. The toxin was elegant. It affected only Vorans, leaving no trace in the body, causing death that looked like natural heart failure. Dr. Yuna had designed it specifically for this mission. 3 admirals, dead in their chairs. No guards had been alerted. No alarms had sounded. Nari smiled and walked calmly out of the station. She had 4 more targets this week. Back on the Requiem, a young pilot named Jisoo was becoming a legend. The other pilots called him the Ghost. He flew missions that no one else would take. Suicide runs. Deep penetration strikes. Attacks on targets that should have been impossible to hit. He always came back. He always succeeded. And he never smiled. You are the best pilot I have ever seen, Captain Hana told him after one mission. But you fly like you want to die. Jisoo climbed out of his fighter. His face was blank. I do not want to die, Captain. I want them to die. There is a difference. Is there? Jisoo did not answer. He walked away. Toward his quarters. Toward the small shrine he kept for his family. Every night, he lit a candle for them. Every morning, he flew another mission. It was all he had now. It was all he needed. On the Voran homeworld, panic was beginning to spread. The government tried to hide the disappearances, but rumors were faster than censors. People whispered about ghost ships and invisible enemies. They whispered about a word carved into stone. Remember, Counselor Dreth called an emergency meeting of the Galactic Council. For the first time in 200 years, all 12 species gathered to discuss a crisis. Someone is attacking the Voran Empire, Dreth announced. We do not know who, we do not know why, but we need help. The other counselors looked at each other. Some were amused. The mighty Vorans, asking for help. Others were worried. If something could hurt the Vorans, it could hurt anyone. Representative Sora, of the Kalari, stood. I warned you, she said quietly. 5 years ago, I told you this would happen. Dreth glared at her. What are you talking about? The humans. Sora's voice carried across the silent hall. You did not kill them. You only woke them up. Laughter filled the chamber. Nervous laughter. The humans were dead. Everyone knew that. It was impossible, but then a message arrived. It was broadcast on every frequency, to every ship and station in the galaxy. A single image appeared on every screen. Earth. Brown, scarred, ruined Earth. And beneath it, a voice. A human voice. This is Admiral Tejo of the United Earth Fleet. We are not dead. We are not gone. We are coming. The image changed. It showed a Voran battle fleet, 100 ships strong, floating dead in space. Every hull was marked with that same word. Remember, you burned our world. Tejo's voice continued. You killed our families. You celebrated our death. Now we return the favor. This is not a war. This is not revenge. This is a reckoning. And it has only begun. The transmission ended. The council chamber was silent. Counselor Dreth stood frozen, his gray face somehow paler than before. Around him, representatives of 12 species sat in shock. Representative Sora spoke into the silence. I told you. I told you 5 years ago. But you did not listen. She looked at Dreth with something like pity. They are coming for you. All of you. And there is nothing you can do to stop them. In the asteroid belt, aboard the Requiem, Admiral Tejo watched the chaos spreading across galactic communications. Fear, confusion, panic. Everything was going according to plan. Phase 1 is complete, he said to Captain Hana. The Shadow War is over. Now, the real war begins. Hana stood at attention. The fleet is ready, sir. 300 ships, 800,000 personnel. Every one of them has lost someone. Every one of them is ready to fight. Tejo nodded slowly. Good. Set course for the Keth Nebula. The Council is gathering their defense fleet there. They think they can stop us. He turned to look at Earth through the viewport. His home. His grave. His reason for living. They are wrong. The Keth Nebula was beautiful. Purple and gold clouds of gas stretched across millions of kilometers, lit from within by newborn stars. It was one of the most photographed places in the galaxy. Tourists came from every corner of known space to see it. Now it was a graveyard. Admiral Tejo stood on the bridge of the Requiem, watching the Council's defense fleet die. They had gathered 600 ships from 8 different species, the largest military force assembled in 200 years. They had been confident. They had been prepared. They had not been prepared for this. Human ships appeared from nowhere, their ghost drives rendering them invisible until the moment of attack. They struck in perfect coordination, teams of 5 working together like fingers on a hand. They targeted engines first, then weapons, then bridges. They did not waste shots. They did not make mistakes. Enemy flagship is disabled, Captain Hannah reported. Her voice was calm, professional. Admiral Voss of the Voran Empire is requesting surrender terms. Tejo smiled thinly. Admiral Voss. The same man who had commanded the fleet that burned Earth. The same man who had celebrated the death of 3 billion people. And now, he wanted to surrender. Tell him we do not accept surrenders from war criminals, Tejo said. Target his ship. Destroy it. Hana hesitated for just a moment. Then she nodded and relayed the order. The Voran flagship exploded. Its crew of 8,000 vanished in a flash of light. Across the battlefield, the remaining council ships began to panic. Some tried to run. Some tried to fight harder. None of it mattered. Within 2 hours, the Battle of Keth Nebula was over. 600 enemy ships destroyed. Human losses, 17 vessels. The galaxy had never seen anything like it. News of the battle spread faster than light. Carried by terrified survivors and intercepted communications, the mighty Galactic Council had sent its best fleet against the humans, and that fleet had been annihilated. On the Voran homeworld, Counselor Dreth was screaming at his generals. How? How did this happen? They were supposed to be dead. The generals had no answers. They only had fear. In her underground laboratory on Earth, Dr. Yuna received a message from Admiral Tejo. She read it twice, then closed her eyes. It was time. Prepare Project Sunfire, she told her team. We are going to send a message. Project Sunfire was loaded onto a small, unmanned ship. It traveled to a Voran system called Kenth Minor. It was an uninhabited system, used only for mining. No one would die. That was important to Yuna. She was a scientist, not a murderer. But the galaxy needed to understand what humanity could do. The device flew into the heart of the Kenth Minor sun. For 3 days, nothing happened. Then the sun began to pulse. Its color shifted from yellow to orange to red. Solar flares erupted across its surface, reaching millions of kilometers into space. The mining stations in the system were evacuated just in time. On the 4th day, the sun exploded. The supernova was visible from 1,000 light-years away. Every telescope in the galaxy recorded it, every scientist analyzed it, and every government understood the message. Humanity could kill stars. Humanity could destroy entire solar systems with a single weapon. The power that had once belonged only to nature now belonged to the species they had tried to exterminate. General Minho broadcast a message to the galaxy. He stood in front of a camera, wearing his worn uniform, his old face hard as stone. We did not want this war. We asked only to be left in peace. You chose to destroy us instead. You chose extinction. He paused. Now you will live with the consequences. We have the power to destroy every inhabited world in this galaxy. We will not do so, because we are not monsters like you. But understand this clearly. If any species attacks Earth again, we will turn their sun into a funeral pyre. This is not a threat. This is a promise. The message ended. The galaxy was silent. One by one, species began to surrender. First, the smaller ones, those who had only joined the attack because they feared the council. Then larger ones, the Kelari made peace immediately, as they had opposed the attack from the beginning. Others followed, desperate to separate themselves from the Vorans. Counselor Dreth watched his alliance crumble. Species that had been allies for centuries now refused to answer his calls. His own people began to whisper about removing him from power. The mighty Voran Empire, master of 1,000 worlds, was suddenly alone. Aboard the Requiem, Captain Hana brought Admiral Tejo a report. 17 species have formally surrendered. 8 more are negotiating. The council is effectively dissolved. Tejo read the report carefully. And the Vorans? They refuse to surrender. Counselor Dreth has ordered every remaining ship to defend the homeworld. He says they will fight to the last. Tejo nodded. He had expected this. Dreth was too proud to surrender. Too guilty. He knew what humanity would do to him if they caught him alive. Then we go to the homeworld, Tejo said. Not to destroy it. To force them to face what they have done. In her quarters, Nari was preparing for her final mission. She had lived among the Vorans for 5 years. She had learned their secrets. She had killed their leaders. Now she would help end their empire. She looked in the mirror. Her face was still Voran, but her eyes were human. They had always been human, even when everything else was a lie. One more mission, she whispered to herself. Then it is over. On Earth, in the underground cities, people gathered around screens to watch the news. They saw the human fleet moving toward the Voran homeworld. They saw the surrendering species, the collapsing alliance, the crumbling empire. For the first time in 5 years, some of them allowed themselves to hope. Jisoo did not watch the news. He was in his fighter, preparing for the final battle. His squadron would lead the attack on the Voran orbital defenses. It was the most dangerous mission of the war. Many pilots would die. Jisoo did not care. He had stopped caring about death long ago. All he wanted was to see Counselor Dreth answer for what he had done. All he wanted was justice. Captain Hana found him in the hangar bay, running final checks on his ship. "You do not have to fly this mission," she said. "You have done enough. More than enough." Jisoo looked up. For a moment, something flickered in his empty eyes. Surprise, perhaps, or gratitude. Then it was gone. "I started this war in a simulator," he said. "I will end it in real space. I owe that to my family." Hana understood. She did not argue. The human fleet arrived at the Voran homeworld 3 days later. 200 ships against a planet protected by 1,000 defense platforms and the last remaining Voran fleet. By any normal calculation, it should have been an even fight. It was not even close. The battle lasted 6 hours. Human ships danced through the defense grid, exploiting weaknesses that Nari had identified years ago. Jisoo led his squadron through the orbital platforms, destroying them one by one with surgical precision. Captain Hana commanded the main assault, her tactical genius turning chaos into victory. When it was over, the Voran homeworld was defenseless. Their fleet was destroyed. Their platforms were rubble, and above their capital city, 300 human ships hung in the sky like a judgment from the gods. Admiral Tejo opened a channel to the planet below. "People of Vora, your government attacked my world without warning. They killed 3 billion innocent people. They called it justice." His voice was calm, almost gentle. "We could do the same to you. We have the weapons. We have the will. But we will not. Because we are better than you." He paused. "We have only one demand. Surrender Counselor Dreth and every official who voted to destroy Earth. Give them to us. And this war ends. Refuse. And we will stay here until your economy collapses, your people starve, and your civilization crumbles. The choice is yours." On the surface of Vora, in his fortified palace, Counselor Dreth watched the human ships through his window. For the first time in his long life, he felt true fear. The humans had come for him. And there was nowhere left to run. The Voran people did not need long to decide. 3 days after Admiral Tejo's ultimatum, a mob stormed Counselor Dreth's palace. They dragged him from his throne room, stripped him of his robes of office, and threw him into the street. They did not do this because they loved humanity. They did it because they feared what humanity would do if they refused. Fear had built the Voran Empire. Now fear was destroying it. Dreth was placed in chains and brought to a shuttle. Alongside him were 11 other officials, everyone who had voted to destroy Earth. They were silent during the journey. What could they say? They had tried to commit genocide and failed. Now they would face the consequences. The shuttle docked with the Requiem. Admiral Tejo was waiting in the hangar bay, surrounded by human soldiers. He looked at Dreth with cold eyes. 5 years ago you gave an order, Tejo said. You told Admiral Voss to begin the cleansing. Do you remember? Dreth tried to stand tall, but his legs were shaking. I did what was necessary. Humanity was a threat to galactic peace. Tejo stepped closer. We were farmers, scientists, teachers, children playing in parks, families eating dinner together. We were not a threat. We were just different. And you killed us for it. You would have done the same eventually, Dreth said. Humans are violent, aggressive. It is your nature. Tejo smiled sadly. Perhaps. But you made sure of it, did you not? You took our peaceful nature and burned it away. You created the very thing you feared. He turned to the soldiers. Take them to the holding cells. They will be tried by a jury of every species in the galaxy. Whatever sentence is given, we will accept it. Dreth was dragged away. He tried to protest, to argue, to bargain. No one listened. 2 weeks later, the Galactic Assembly met for the first time. It was not like the old council. There were no floating chairs, no symbols of ancient power. Representatives sat at a simple round table, equal in height and position. Humanity had designed it that way on purpose. Dr. Yuna stood before the assembly as Earth's first ambassador. She had traded her laboratory coat for diplomatic robes, but she still looked uncomfortable. She was a scientist, not a politician, but there was no one better for this job. She had helped build the weapons that won the war. Now she would help build the peace. "We are here to create something new," Yuna said. The old council was built on fear and hierarchy. The strong ruled the weak. The powerful crushed the powerless. That system created the war that almost destroyed my people. She looked around the room. 37 species were represented. Some had been enemies. Some had been allies. All of them were afraid of what humanity might do next. "We do not want an empire," Yuna continued. "We do not want revenge beyond justice. We want only one thing. A guarantee that what happened to Earth will never happen to anyone else. Ever." She placed a document on the table. "This is a new treaty. It establishes the Galactic Assembly as a democratic body, where every species has an equal voice. It bans unprovoked attacks on any inhabited world. It creates a joint peacekeeping force to enforce these rules. And it includes one special clause." She paused. "Any species that votes to destroy another species will itself be destroyed, not by military force, but by economic isolation. Complete, total, permanent. No trade, no communication, no contact. They will be alone until their civilization collapses." The representatives read the treaty in silence. Some whispered to their aides. Some simply stared at the document, processing what it meant. Representative Sora of the Kalari spoke first. "The Kalari accept these terms. We should have stopped the attack on Earth. We failed. This is a chance to make things right." One by one, other species agreed. The treaty passed unanimously. A new era had begun. Outside the assembly hall, Admiral Tejo watched the proceedings through a window. Captain Hana stood beside him. "It is over," she said. "We won." Tejo shook his head. "No, it is not over. We survived. We punished those who wronged us. But nothing will bring back the 3 billion. Nothing will undo what was done." Hana was quiet for a moment. "What will you do now?" "Go home," Tejo said. "Help rebuild. Spend whatever years I have left trying to remember what peace feels like." He turned away from the window. "What about you?" Hana considered the question. "I think I will stay in space. Someone needs to command the peacekeeping fleet. Someone needs to make sure this never happens again." Tejo nodded. "You will be good at it. You always were." They stood together in comfortable silence. Two soldiers who had won an impossible war, wondering what came next. On Earth, reconstruction was beginning. The surface was still scarred, but life was returning. Plants were growing in the ash. Animals were emerging from underground. Cities were being rebuilt, not as copies of the old world, but as something new, something harder, something that would never be burned again. Jisoo returned to Earth for the first time in 5 years. He stood on a hill overlooking what had once been Seoul. The city was gone, replaced by a vast construction site. Thousands of workers moved through the rubble, laying foundations for new buildings. He visited the place where his family home had stood. There was nothing left, just dirt and broken stone. He knelt down and touched the ground. "I did it," he whispered. "I made them pay. I hope you can rest now." He stayed there for a long time. When he finally stood up, something had changed in his eyes. The emptiness was still there, but it was smaller now, softer. There was room for something else. Nari found him later that day. She had returned to her human appearance, though she would never quite look the same as before. 5 years of living as an alien had left marks that surgery could not remove. "I heard you were here," she said. I wanted to see you. To thank you. Jisoo looked at her with confusion. Thank me? For what? For fighting, for surviving, for being the weapon we needed when we had nothing else. She smiled sadly. You saved us all. Jisoo. You and everyone else who refused to give up. Jisoo did not know what to say. No one had ever thanked him before. He had never expected it. He had never wanted it. I was just angry, he said finally. I am still angry. I know, Nari said. But anger can build as well as destroy. Maybe it is time to start building. In orbit above Earth, a ring of light was taking shape. It was a memorial, visible from the planet's surface, designed to shine forever in honor of those who had died. 3 billion names were inscribed on its inner surface, 3 billion lives, remembered for eternity. Dr. Yuna came to see it when it was finished. She floated in a small shuttle, watching the light dance across the darkness of space. We did terrible things, she said to General Minho, who had come with her. The weapons I built, the lives we took. I do not know if I can forgive myself. Minho looked at the ring of light. We did what we had to do. Nothing more. Nothing less. The guilt you feel is proof that you are still human. Hold on to it. Let it remind you why we must never become like them. Yuna nodded slowly. It was not forgiveness, but it was something. 1 year later, the first human colony ship left Earth. It carried 50,000 settlers to a new world, one of many that had been given to humanity as reparation. The galaxy was opening up. Humans were spreading across the stars, building new homes, starting new lives. Admiral Taeho watched the ship depart from his house on the reconstructed Korean coast. He was retired now, an old man living quietly by the sea. He spent his days fishing and reading and trying to forget the weight of command. Sometimes he succeeded, most times he did not. But on days like this, when he watched human ships fly toward new horizons, he felt something like peace. They had survived. They had endured. They had built something from the ashes of destruction. The galaxy would never forget what humanity had done. They would tell stories about the savage species that had been burned and refused to die. They would whisper about ghost ships and star-killing weapons and a word carved into stone. Remember. Humanity remembered. Humanity would always remember. And the galaxy would never make the mistake of attacking Earth again. Taeho smiled and turned back to his house. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new problems, new reasons to worry about the future. But today, for this one moment, everything was quiet. The war was over. Humanity had won. And somewhere out there, among the stars, a new chapter was beginning. It was enough. For now, it was enough.